Hello, welcome to Storm Chaser, a life story of an unusual man. This is episode 32, Sons and I, part 1. My name is John, and I'm from Anaheim, California. In this episode, and perhaps the following few episodes, I would like to share with you my life being a dad. Hope you all like it. In my last episode, I have shared with you a little bit about my firstborn son's life in his first year. Allow me to share with you one more story happened within that first year. See, after our son was born, my wife and I started looking for help when my wife had to go back to work after 6 weeks of maternity leave. We didn't want to have to take our firstborn son in and out of the house to a babysitter's house. So, through my siblings' family, we were introduced to a young lady. She was from South America. She didn't speak much English, but she was willing to be a live-in babysitter 5 days a week. Basically, I would pick her up from the bus stop on a Sunday night. Then she would stay with us until Friday evening. So she started a little short time before my wife had to go back to work. After that, things went all right. See, my wife had a habit of leaving her purse on a staircase step after she comes home from work. Well, I did the same thing myself. One day, my wife was complaining some $20 bills seems to be missing from her purse. I just told her that she probably just lost track of her money. That's all. But then a few weeks later, I noticed some $20 bills were missing from my wallet. And I knew how much I had in my wallet because I didn't have much at all. So if one or two $20 bill was missing, I would notice, right? So when my wife told me that she didn't take them, I knew it was the babysitter who took them. How can I prove that? We didn't have any surveillance camera system inside the house at that time. So after much thought, I came up with an idea. You see, since I was an engineer, right, I had access to some sort of micro switches. So I took my wife's regular purse and wired up a trap inside it using these micro switches and a smoke alarm. The alarm would go off as soon as the zipper was pulled. When it trips the smoke alarm, it will sound and will not be stopped even though the zipper was closed back up right away. So I told my wife to use a different purse and leave it inside her car when she comes home. But bring her regular purse in and out as she goes to work and when she comes home. Just like what she used to do. We did that for over a week. I checked the zipper every day, and it was never opened. We continued to wait patiently. I knew it's going to happen sooner or later because I knew the behavior of a habitual thief. Because I once was a habitual thief myself. I was a shoplifter in Hong Kong. During the waiting period, my wife and I discussed different scenarios, how to deal with her when, not if, she gets caught. We agree that we will keep her if and only if she admits her wrong and tell us the truth of why she would steal from us. We even agreed to increase her pay if she felt she was not making enough money to support herself and her family. But if she denies stealing from us, we would still be merciful to her. We wouldn't report her to the authority, but simply would let her go. So one evening, after my son was asleep, my wife and I was watching TV in our room upstairs. The babysitter was watching TV downstairs in the living room. All of a sudden, we heard the fire alarm went off. We both came down and saw the zipper on the purse was opened, and she was sitting on the couch, shivering. I turned off the alarm and we calmly and simply asked her why she went into my wife's purse. She said she was trying to look for the telephone bill. She wanted to see how much long-distance phone calls she has made back to her family in South America. Those were the old days where we had to pay for long-distance phone calls using landline telephones. She also denied taking any money out of our purse or wallet. Well, so per our previous conversation or discussion, my wife and I had no choice but to let her go. So on the same day, same night, I took her to the bus stop and dropped her off and said goodbye. And we never heard from her again. Immediately following that incident, my wife took a couple of days off and she found an outside babysitter who was willing to add our son to her schedule. See, she was taking care of one other baby already at that time. My wife and I quickly worked out a schedule in who take our son and who picks up from the babysitter. At that point, our son was about 6 months old, so he is a little bigger, older, and it worked out just fine. We quickly adjust to our new schedule, our new routine. We had to, right? That's called continual learning of being parents. As I mentioned in my last episode, our second child was born 10 months after we celebrated our son's first birthday. Well, surprise, surprise, surprise. It was another boy, another healthy child. We were very thankful. This time I had the privilege to be inside the delivery room with my wife. And yes, the baby hair were curly also when he first came out. If you missed that joke, you ought to go back and watch episode 31. All right. So It's amazing to see how God creates babies. No two are made alike, even though they have the same biological parent. The second son of ours were so different from our first one. For one, he slept through the night for at least 6 hours at a time. Wow, my wife and I were very grateful for that. During the first few years of their lives, we only fed them healthy TV shows like Sesame Street, Barney, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, etc. I remember oftentimes I would sit with them and watch those TV shows with them. Being a music lover myself, I would encourage them to sing and dance. So music slowly but naturally became part of our lives. We read somewhere that music is very beneficial to children's brain development. We believed it and made conscious effort in feeding them that. We were very grateful to have two sons who are only 22 months apart. They play together very well, just like how we have planted. At the same time, we also realize the importance for them to be in a Christian environment. So we also make conscious efforts to bring them to church every Sunday. My wife volunteered in the church nursery to help out. She wanted to know what kind of environment our children would be in and what kind of activities our children do on a Sunday morning. The first 4 years of fatherhood was not too bad for me. It was better than I expected. But then I didn't really know what to expect, right? Being a new father-in-law. All I knew was that time flew by very quickly. Most good time, except for losing some sleep here and there. It's all good, right? So in the reflection of this period of my life, I see now God's hand on many things I didn't see back then. First of all, finding another babysitter in such a short time. I didn't say that earlier, but she, the babysitter, was a Chinese and lived not too far away from where we used to live. I believe it was not a coincidence that my wife found this available babysitter so quickly. God's grace was quite amazing. Originally, we were, if we have a choice, we'd rather have a boy and a girl. In Chinese character, if you put a word boy next to the word girl, it forms the word good. But God knew what was better for us. He gave us two boys. And now we wouldn't want it any other way because they were wonderful. I was truly blessed to be able to spend the time with him in music, singing, and dancing. Life was full of joy and happiness seeing some of the things that I had planned come into fruition. I was very proud of myself at that time, but now it turned into gracefulness, realizing how much God has blessed me in my life. This brings me to a scripture in the Bible. It's found in Proverbs chapter 16, verse 9. It says, "In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." So in other words, to me, it doesn't matter how much I plan. God is the one who makes things happen. My son and I, and my wife as well, continue to grow together by trial and error. We continue to learn to be, or I continue to learn to be, a father to my two sons. I was keeping the promise I've made to myself that I would be there for them. But would I really be able to keep my own promise for the entire 18 years of my son's life? Maybe, but maybe not. Keep following this channel to hear more about this unusual man. Well, this concludes part 1 of this series entitled Sons and I. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell icon so that you won't miss any future episodes. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up and give me a comment if you like. My time is up. Thank you for watching. Be blessed. And until next episode, Storm Chaser out.